Hello everyone, welcome to the Mole Hole. I'm your host Quiz, aka The Mole, and I'm joined by James Phoenix
Manga.
and Marcus Shadow.
Hello.
And today we're here to discuss Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa's attitude adjustment. Technically Mighty Morphin Power Rangers won't be technical, but still.
Yeah.
It's the first of a new series of graphic novels made by Papercuts with a Z.
Yep.
Hate it when people remove S's and put Z's, it's just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But no. But yeah, this is the kind of comic. It's not that good, but I will say if you're a fan of Power Rangers, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Which, yeah, well, basically the story is simple as fuck. I'll let Jim explain the story if you want, Jim.
Well, the basic concept of the story is that the Power Rangers are doing a thing at the juice bar. Some archaeologists unearth a giant robot thing out in the desert, and Rita and her goons decide to try to use it to destroy the Power Rangers. Yeah, that thing. And eventually the Rangers, of course, overcome it and save the day because Power Rangers.
Yep, that thing right there. Just saying that's at my screen would technically enlarge, but still. But
Yeah, except that you keep putting its crotch right on the camera.
Well, to be fair, I imagine with how this was written, something along that is pretty much what Saban was doing to us. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I will also say, personally, this comic, in my opinion, doesn't know what the fuck it is. Because it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the older fans. Then why does the beginning have biographies for each ranger like you don't know who the fuck they are? With Kimberly's description basically being, hey, she's hot.
Pretty much. Well, that's true. She's always upbeat with her friends, got a wicked streak of sarcasm, and one-liners that she saves for the bad guys.
I said the notes, where it says, like, local bully skull has a big crush on her. That's all it says. Yeah, that's all it says. Yeah, she's hot.
Yep.
Which, yeah, this also involves the Rangers doing something which I don't understand, of they swapped helmets. Which is fine. They're confused by this. And later on, they removed the helmets and remove all their clothes and change in a cave. Which makes me say, wait, if you can take the helmet off and put it down, why don't you just take it off and put your original helmet back on?
Because as they noted in the story that they tried that and it automatically switched their helmets around again.
Fair enough. But yeah, like I said, it's like the comic says, and I took a few notes with some stupid stuff. Alpha 5 keeps saying dudes and dudettes and acts a little bit more like Alpha 6 in my opinion of how he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
The morph sequence is incorrect.
Yeah. Here, I'll get off.
Yeah. The comic states it's 1993, and at least twice they mention the internet as a casual thing that all teenagers are talking about.
Yeah. But in all fairness, one of them does say the internet. What's that?
Yeah, but then two of them literally like back. It's almost back to back too, which is fucking ridiculous. I don't find it, but it's almost ridiculous with that. Oh, there it is. But there's Kimberly. Bear in mind, Kimberly's meant to be the airhead that doesn't know about technology. Ha! While you're at it, can you add internet access? Alpha says internet and something that small, even Zordon can't do that. Then literally a page down, literally at the bottom of the page, there's Skull. Hey, Bulk, look like they must be working on something big. Steal for a secret project for the science fair. It's a robot. Can it connect to the internet for you? I don't see anyone asking what the hell the internet is. If they do, it may have been. No, I thought Bulk may have done it.
I saw it somewhere. So when the internet got brought up, somebody asked that. I thought I could be wrong.
Yeah, the closest I see is Alpha saying internet and something that small. Even Zordon can't do that. Oh, you're joking. I get it.
Now, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I don't know.
There's the morphing sequence for everyone.
Yep,
Which,
I held it
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Tyrannosaurus, Pterodactyl, saber-toothed tiger, Triceratops, Mastodon.
Yep.
This is supposed to be for the older fans, really.
Yep, supposedly.
That's what I said. I don't get what the hell this comic wants to do. It's either A, it's for smaller kids to understand what Power Rangers is. That's why it's got like all the internet stuff. But then, at the same time, if it's for smaller kids to understand, it's not that good. It doesn't make people want to be the Mighty Morphin because of the swapping of the powers and stuff. It doesn't tell you what their powers were properly.
Indeed.
I mean, Zack doesn't even get that axe thing that doesn't. It's totally not a canon.
Mm-hmm.
Jim is, like all good librarians, absorbed in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I did like Rita, and I did like this technically explains a flaw I felt with the series.
Okay.
What's that?
In the series, when Billy mentions the communicators, and it's the case that they've got the communicators so they can talk for long range and shit, but they do sort of hinder at it's only a certain distance. Then suddenly they're in Australia and it works, which is across the side of the world. At least Alpha in this actually upgrades it so the distance or the range on the communicators would actually be massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that kind of explains it.
Well, he mentions that it'll now work halfway around the world, and Billy mentions that, I bet I can upgrade that to work all the way around the world.
Yeah, but Alpha's the one on this that mentions it's going to upgrade the communicators and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, and it actually does fix the, in my opinion, error with the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you saw there's some weird bits with the artwork. I'm going to say, as a comic, like I said, not a good comic. It's really not a good comic as a comic.
Fair enough.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's quite a few problems with this thing.
I mean, where is it? Look at some, where is it? Because some of these fights look fucking atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly the stuff with the putties. Because I get it, the putties all look very similar. I do get that. But, A, they've gone there where they've started to use random colours for backgrounds instead of the actual environment.
Mm.
And then when you cut to the next scene with the putties there, and you see the action, can you even make out what the fuck they are?
I could if that wasn't so close to the camera.
Yeah, you're putting it really too close to the camera, Mole. It's blurring it out.
Well, to be fair, I can't see my screen when this is in front of my face. But yeah.
Oh. Yeah, they look like little Claymen, which is little putties are, but yeah, I get your point.
No, I mean, they look like little stick versions of themselves. There's no detail there. There's no sense with the fight. And also, because it looks really weird, right there, Jason's sword is round like a whip, which maybe his power's not working right. But it seems like he just suddenly gets a whip, and it's like, what the fuck?
What page is that on?
It's just about 47. It might not be a whip. It's just really badly done. Look at his hand and look at the line going from his hand round.
No, it is. You have to. If you look at the earlier panel, that's not his sword. He's actually, and again, this is even stupider. He's actually swinging around the tip of the Tyrannosaurus tail by the wire that it was hanging out of the tail from. He ripped it out of the Zord piece. Look at the previous page. Look at the previous page on the top left panel. You can see the tail of the wire on it. That's what he's swinging around.
There, you can see that, yeah. Which makes sense. Like I said, there, with the lack of detail, it looks like his sword, and it looks like they just sort of fucked it up. Besides the little point at the end. But yeah, there's shit detail on this. and they just get really lazy with some of it, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that scene there, the way the head snaps back from that kick, looks fucking like that. Looks weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, if you look at this panel right here, can you tell that that's supposed to be the Black Ranger's uniform with the Red Ranger's helmet on it?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean
You can kind of, sort of, if you're following the story, but yeah, just looking at the art, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, like I said, it's just weird.
Looks weird.
And actually, now that I realize it, you know what's even worse about that panel that I just realized?
What's that?
Yeah. Now take a close look at the panel. You see the little. Wait, I'm in the wrong. Yeah, hang on right there. You see the little suit there. You can clearly see the suit and the helmet, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I realized something.
Which page is it?
No, I understand. On that, I noticed something. If you, that's that. I'm not talking about that. But if you look at that, you can see the red helmet on the page. On page 48. But if you look back to the earlier panels, for example, I flip back to page 34. Note which helmet the Black Ranger is wearing.
Wow.
And you can tell that they sort of knew that because if you look really closely at this image, you can see it's actually the Tyrannosaurus helmet. They drew the helmet right. They just miscolored the fucking thing.
You mean the Triceratops helmet?
Yeah, it's the Triceratops helmet that they recolored. They drew the right helmet and put the wrong color on it.
To be fair, I think that actually is explained, Jim.
It is?
Turn to whichever page this is. Some of these aren't numbered. 43.
Okay.
They remorph again, and they have different helmets.
You're right. They do remorph to have different helmets, but at the same time, you look at that picture, it's still clearly you can see the little horns on it. It's still the Triceratops helmet they drew.
That looks like the one on the Black Ranger looks like it looks like the T-Rex because the next to it's the Tyrannosaurus. No, next to it is the Triceratops, and the eyes are different.
Well, I'm just saying if you look at the tiny little Red Ranger on black suit, Red Ranger with the red helmet, it looks like the two things on the side of the two horns and the other horn in the center.
Yeah.
It looks like it's clearly the Triceratops helmet on that suit. So it's like, what the hell?
It does, but yeah, like I said, it's weirdly done.
It's bad drawing, yeah.
However, I will say, in terms of the pros, if I can find the right panel, like I showed these two before, but I do like those two. Rita's evil laugh and her little grin.
Those are good shots.
That's like the only good shot on this.
Mm-hmm.
Besides possibly that.
The moon base, yes.
Yeah, but that static shot looks like it is from the show. I like that.
Yeah, it does look very good. They detailed that.
Yeah, other stuff, which is weird because you go from that to this, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Although, it's funny because at the back, mentioning our previous around the pound available now.
And interestingly, mentioning on the page before that, there's actually a 2-page spread with a basic look back on basically summarizing the 20 years of not necessarily summarizing, but talking about the 20 years of Power Rangers, written actually by, as you can see on the bottom of one Umesh Patel, better known as Fury Diamond of Ranger Crew.
Yep.
Yeah, wrote us about how he grew up with Power Rangers in the 700 episodes. It's a big deal. He watches it now with his two nephews, ages 2 and 6, and his own kids, ages 1 and 3. How they love Power Rangers and how it continues and everything else. All the it's on Netflix. Just talking about how cool it is that the show's still around after all these years and how big it is and how much people care about it.
Yeah. Which, hey, if you do like Power Rangers, Ranger Crew is a great place to go. But that just looks weird.
Yeah.
There's scenes like that where they're just literally There are literally scenes where they couldn't even be asked to do the background and like, oh, we'll just add a few lines for effect. I'm like, I'd rather see the background.
Yeah.
It just looks weird, but what do you think so far, Marcus?
Yeah, that comic looks really weird. Looks like they might have rushed it, or the artists didn't give a shit. I don't know which. But it's just like, really? And you said it's supposed to be aimed at like the older fans. I'm like, no.
Yeah, not quite.
However, I would also say if you're a fan of Power Rangers, if you're a fan of MMPR, it's as bad and as cheesy as some of the MMPR episodes, though. So it kind of does work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not that good. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say it's probably because, like we showed before, but paper cuts. Yeah, paper cuts with the Z. I'm sorry, they're not exactly going to be producing Alex Ross for the artists. You know what I mean? This is sort of low end in the comic spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That shot is just amazingly funny.
What's that?
When the Triceratops is going around the Zord, you know, the Zord behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Or around the monster's leg, which is where there.
Okay.
Looks weird to me, Jim, because if you turn to it on page 27, to me, on that Zord itself, it doesn't look like you can actually tell which one's in the foreground and which one's in the background. So it sort of looks like the monster is wearing a random Triceratops slipper.
Ah.
At least to me it does. There's no sense of depth to that picture, which there should be.
Yeah, you're right. It does kind of look like it has a Triceratops foot. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it looks like it's weird. There's no sense of depth there. Which I almost want to find out who actually drew this. It's probably in here somewhere.
Should be on the first page.
Yeah, it says on the
Yes,
first
yeah.
page, writer Stefan Pucciani,
Steven
artist
Petruccia.
P.H. Macarodinus
Marcondes.
Marcondes. There we go. We named and shamed them.
Yeah, artist P.H. Marcondes and colorist Laurie E. Smith.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go.
And that's weird as well. Well, I just noticed.
What's that?
I hadn't noticed that the first read through. I just noticed it then. You know when you see them there on these bits, they're clearly photos from the show cut out and put there.
Yes.
Right.
Why the hell are the Zords little comic book versions of the Zords? It looks really fucking out of place.
It kind of does.
When you got the morph, live action, the suit, and the actual person unmorphed, live action. And then it goes to the Zord and cartoon.
Wait, yeah, it's still too close, Mole. Yeah.
I mean, that might just be me. Does that seem out of place, Jeff? Or Marcus?
A little bit.
Yeah, tiny bit.
When you zoom in, you see that compared to that, which is a static shot.
Yeah. But at the same time, I can kind of understand it because they needed something small, and let's face it, the live action stuff isn't small.
It's toy size. They could have cropped it.
True.
It's true.
I don't know.
It just looks weird.
A little bit.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. It's also weird, as I pointed out, as well when I saw the notes at the back. There.
Yeah.
The free comic that was the prequel-ish to them doing this. White Ranger.
Yeah.
Which means that would not be the same Rangers.
Nope.
Or arguably it could be if it's for like 1 week before they piss off. But still, it's like, and I know it's more than 1 week before anyone nitpicks that. But that just seems weird, and it says they're back and stuff. It seems like it's designed for older fans, and like I said, I will admit, it does seem a little like I mentioned, like it fits within the what you call it motif of the show because it's
Yeah.
that cheesy bad. And honestly, the story itself, if I saw it on TV as a live action version of what we saw, that kind of would have been badass. That big giant monster would have been like the next Cyclopsis, because I'm like, that's a fucking awesome villain. The swapping of the helmets would have been cool and all that. However, I feel if you're trying to do a comic that pleases both new people and old people, you should have done, instead of going this and Green Ranger comic, you should have gone a comic before this, so you can establish what the Rangers' powers do and how they act and stuff, and then done this one.
Agreed.
And then done the shitty Green Ranger backstory they're going to do. I'm paraphrasing, it may not actually be shitty. We'll find out in October.
Indeed.
Or later. But yeah, I will be reviewing each one of them when they come out. I will be buying each one.
Cool.
So yay. Maybe Jim will join me again if his library gets that one.
I hope so. If not, I may just outright buy the thing. It's not like they're all that expensive.
No, they're not. Oh, I do feel, as much as that only cost me like £3, I feel like I've wasted my money.
Ah.
But yeah, also the structure, the ending also feels a little weird with this. With the ending where I don't know, they just sort of rebury him after he's done his shit and then go back to making a joke at the end. With them all saying, "Good job, Alpha," because Alpha saves the day, Marcus.
Yeah.
And Alpha says, "I'd like to take all the credit, but actually, I used somebody else's head." It's funny because he reprogrammed the monster using its head. However, that joke is bad. However, and it's bad. However, that's totally what they used to end the shows on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frame ending.
Pretty much.
But yeah, let's go to a rating. How would you rate it, Joe?
Before that, I did just want to mention a couple of things.
Okay.
We've been talking about it from a more comic perspective. I'd like to quickly criticize it from a Power Rangers perspective.
Fair enough.
Because there's some things about the plot of this that make no goddamn sense in terms of Power Rangers continuity.
Power Rangers has continuity?
Well, some semblance thereof, anyway. For example, let's take a look at what sets up the whole premise for this for Alpha saving the day. At the very first page, is the teens are hanging out in the Angel Grove Juice Bar doing martial arts with Alpha. He's just hanging out in the juice bar with the Rangers.
Doesn't it say after hours?
It's after hours, but still, Ernie could walk in. He owns the place. You don't know.
I know, but I get the sense it's after hours, and they've used Alpha in locations like that before if it's closed.
True,
like
but it clearly wasn't.
Parties and stuff.
But at the same time, if it was after hours, the place probably, I don't know. It just seems weird that it's, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. And
See,
the fact
Alpha being there wasn't my problem with that. My problem with that was it's teenagers left in a fucking bar overnight.
That too.
That doesn't sit well with me. Because I'm sorry, okay, fair enough, they're the Power Rangers. Ernie doesn't know that. He just knows that his regular customers that like his product. Which means if he locks them in there overnight, bad. Otherwise, what, does he just give them the keys and like shut up after, lock down after you? Who does that? That's a good way of getting your place robbed. And Bulk and Skull emerged too, so that bit is weird.
That's true, but in all fairness, no, they go outside to see Bulk and Skull at the basketball court.
Oh yeah, good point. Because that weird kid, that the second he's there, teaches Alpha the message, which almost means you know exactly how this is going to end.
Yeah, pretty much. And this plot is there's a kid playing basketball with Bulk and Skull, and they're trying to bully him and beat him at basketball, but the kid, of course, beats them both-handedly because Bulk and Skull. And they try to cover it up and everything, saying they let the kid win. And the kid talks about how his dad says that if you use your head, what seems like a handicap can be an advantage. They were big, I'm small, so I wound up ducking low where they couldn't reach me. Yep. Foreshadowing. But yeah, I just thought that the whole Alpha thing seemed really off and weird to me. I didn't quite. I'm like, that seems bizarre and unusual. It's, yeah, they used Alpha in locations, but it's rare, and it wasn't just blatantly in the middle of the juice bar, even if it was after hours. That was unusual to me.
Yeah, plus Alpha speaking to the kids a little weird.
Yes, that's another thing. Yeah,
Although he has spoke to kids on 2 different occasions.
on one of which he committed several acts of kidnapping.
Yeah, Christmas one, and the other episode, I can't remember its name now, but it had this like white monkey thing that kept shape-shifting into the other Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was one of the early episodes of season 2. I remember that one.
But yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah. But yeah, then the other something else that came up here that I thought interesting, that makes no damn sense at all, even if this is supposed to be the 90s. 2 things that make no sense if we're playing this as the 90s. In fact, more than that, looking at this artwork more closely now. Here's this. So first of all, they activate this ancient robot that they find in the desert, and it starts switching people's places around, switching things around, like these archaeologists over here that found it. Oh no, their shirts and their hair color switched around over there. So here's the thing that happens down here. Is they go to, says, oh, there's a helicopter on its way. I've got to warn them and tell them to bring the army. And she goes to start warning them by tapping on a laptop right there, as you can see. Which, okay, the second problem with this, and freaking electricity, good heavens, the computer is acting like a radio, and it starts playing music. Computers could do that if it was a computer that it looks like, because if you look at this computer even more closely, when it's shattered on the ground right the fuck here, if you look right there, there's a fucking disk drive in this laptop! There's a fucking CD drive! Jesus Christ. There's something else. And to top it all off, to make things worse, did you happen to note the song it's playing? That's playing every time the radio is referenced in this comic.
I just knew it was some... I didn't know what the song was.
I can't read that, it's too blurry.
It was some cheesy song, but I couldn't remember. I didn't think it was an actual song. I thought I just made it up.
I don't know. It may have been, but the way the words look, if you can read that.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I'm like, really?
Oh, Jesus.
If you don't know the song, if it's the Oh Baby Baby, that's a well-known Justin Bieber song.
Oh, fair enough.
Which, if they're aiming this toward kids, would make some semblance of sense, but not in the fucking 90s!
Yeah, I just read the song as "Oh baby, 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 oh baby," and I was like, okay. To me, because I didn't know it was a Justin Bieber song, that sounded so like some of the cheesy '90s songs where they just said "baby" over and over again.
Fair enough. Maybe that was supposed to be the point, but it seems like it was supposed to be that. I could be wrong. I don't know. It just seems that way. Something else. So yeah, that was weird. But a couple of positive things I noted here, and I'll see if I come with anything else. But one thing on that same page, I flashed it a second earlier. But other cool thing on that page, as the archaeologists get their stuff switched around, I like to say, right there, triumphant pose of a library card. Booyah.
Nice.
A library card on a really shitty background.
Yeah, I know, but it's a library card. The phone switched places with your library card.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other cool thing, I did not like this at first, but I warmed up on this, so I'm like, that actually makes sense, and it's kind of cool, and I never really thought about it during the show. Take a look at they form up the Megazord here. Take a look at the Megazord.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marcus, does anything look different about that Megazord to you?
The chest piece looks
pink.
pink.
The chest is pink.
Yes, because the chest, the pterodactyl, is the Pink Ranger Zord, and it actually makes sense that the Zord would be pink. In the show, it was always red. And then I never thought about that. I really never thought about it before, but when I saw that, like, wait, it's pink? That looks weird. And then I thought about it, like, well, you know what? It is the Pink Ranger Zord. It makes sense that the Zord would be pink and not red. Why was it always red? I started thinking about this. And I can understand why, because the pink chest kind of looks weird on the Megazord, but at the same time, it makes sense that it would be a pink Zord. And I like the fact that they reflected that in the artwork. That was cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that.
Yeah, so that was neat.
I think, and I could be wrong, I'd have to go look at the TV show footage again, but I think what it was the interior of the Zord is pink, but the exterior is red, so it looks good when it forms the chest plate.
Fair enough. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought it seems weird because it's meant to be the Zord that represents all of them, and pink's not one of the colours.
True.
That just always seemed felt weird to me, which I did like that. But I will also say to you, Jim, I have a fan theory.
Okay.
People like fan theories.
People do.
My fan theory is that woman you saw,
hmm
the one who liked to do stuff digitally, when she saw it, and she's like, wait, your phone swapped to your library card. My guess is she was like, wait a minute. Library card, phone. She went on to make Amazon and make Kindle.
Ha!
That mistake could never happen again, as your phone is your library.
Bada boom.
That's
Nicely
my
done.
fan theory.
Also, interesting, something we didn't see very often, but I'd like to give props to the writers here, because normally when you see things going on with Rita's plots and things, that you normally see Goldar or Scorpion coming out. In this case,
Yes.
Squat was in charge.
Yep.
So that was kind of cool. Seeing Squat do shit and carry out a mission. That was fun.
Can I also say I did love one other thing they did with that?
What's that?
I loved the fact for the first time in the comics, and you'll be able to show it off, Jim, because I put mine down for a sec while I was
Okay.
getting sticky. But I loved the fact that we saw Finster work on something more than just making a little model and putting it in the oven. We saw him do like big fucking body work to resurrect this dude's body. Yeah, I kind of like that. I don't know if Jim did, but I like that.
That was cool. Yeah, you got to see him actually do something. That was just fun. Which is funny. It's pretty funny, even though he supposedly is running the thing through the Monster Maker, quote unquote, which they clearly did not understand how it worked. But it was still fun.
My guess, he gets the clay, he puts the clay through, it activates it to make it living flesh, like the clay thing seems to do, and then that's what he's welding together.
That would
like
make
a
sense.
monster, because the oven isn't big enough to produce the
Yeah.
entire body.
And I do like how when Finster puts this thing together, he turns it into a steampunk robot.
Yep.
That was fun. Yeah, there's just a couple of cool things I noted here and there. Also, in reference, so the earthquake hits, and Bulk and Skull wander into the cave following the Rangers, who took their suits off and hid them under a sheet. And we see Skull and Kimberly together in the cave, and it starts. The robot gets up and starts pounding things because it came back after Finster fixed it up, and it starts pounding things. And Skull's like, "What's that?" And Kimberly goes, "Either an earthquake or I'm falling in love. Given the current company, I'm going with earthquake."
Yep.
Reference to the fact that they're fanning together. That's funny. So yeah, kind of interesting to see Squat leading the robot around. Good stuff. There's kind of some fun stuff in there. There's a lot of weird continuity things, but at the end there is still some little fun things here and there also. Yeah. Oh, and if you're wondering, Mole, when Jason is swinging that thing around, you thought it was a sword. Clearly it couldn't be, because as seen here, he swung the sword and it broke.
He did, but then they said that's because that's not how their powers were working. I thought he got his powers back at that point.
Well, because it's only on like the next page where he starts swinging that, and that's why they go to that and start using parts of the Zords in order to right here to fight with, because their weapons don't work. Like as you can see here over in this panel.
They don't get their powers back working until like a few pages later.
Yeah, as you can see in the panel over this one right here.
He's got his copy in his lap, Jim.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying for you, Jeff. As you can see here, Kimberly's flying on what's the wing of the pterodactyl. Trini has one of the teeth of the saber-toothed tiger. Billy grabbed a part of the triceratops and swings it around. Jason has the tail whip of the thing, and Zach managed to get at least the head of the mastodon running around because the freeze beams still work.
Yeah. And can I just say, this comic here, this page I'm holding right now, is a little weird. I like this particular panel.
Okay.
The putties have different emotions.
Nice.
That one seems to be really happy and going, woo! However, the putty I really do like his look is, I don't know if you can make it out, where's my finger? Is that the wrong way?
I don't know, you're still way too close, Mole.
Yeah, no, it's because I'm trying to zoom in on it.
Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, I got him.
That one.
Oh.
It's a puppy that actually looks terrified for his life, which he should be, as the pterodactyl's blowing shit up, and the T-Rex is literally eating putties.
Yeah.
Me Grimlock like putties.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Triceratops is throwing them around.
Yep. Which I kind of did like that. I will admit, I did like that page.
Dinobots clean house.
Yep.
But did you want to rate this, Jim?
Sure. I would say, as a Power Rangers comic, I'd probably give it, I don't know, maybe a 7. I'm being generous. As a comic in and of itself, probably a 6.
Yeah. I'd say if I was going for just Power Ranger fans in terms of how I felt for MMPR, I'd probably give it about an 8 or a 9.
Oh, okay.
It felt as dumb as the show did,
Fair enough.
if that makes sense. Because let's face it, the show was dumb. We know this. That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons people like it.
Yeah.
But as a comic, I'd give it about a 3. Because of how shitty the artwork is, it's almost Loeb territory at that point.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to combine the both of them together. I'm going to average it out. I'm going to give the whole thing a 6.
Okay. That's fair.
Based on what little I've seen, I can agree with that.
Okay.
But I would say it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, give it a shot. If you're a Power Rangers fan, it's a fun little thing to take a look at. You can find out more information at papercuts.com.
That's Cuts with a Z.
Cuts with a Z. Second volume is the story of the Green Ranger, and that is due out in October.
Not just the story of the Green Ranger. It's meant to be his secret origin that we've never heard about, with why Rita chose him.
Ah.
And based on the fact I've seen origin stories in comics before, tell me you're thinking what I'm thinking, Jim.
I think so, Brian.
Bone Dragon Dagger.
Ah.
Isn't that how these origin stories work? They have to give them a bone version of their weapons.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That can be fun.
No, I don't like that. Like I'm still gonna buy it, I'll admit, but I don't know. Like I mentioned before, but I don't know why they're doing a secret origin of the Green Ranger with find out why Rita chose him. She chose him because he kicked Jason's ass equally as much as Jason kicked his ass, which means she was like, "Ooh, he can match the Red Ranger. He's meant to be the best fighter equally. Let's make him my Red Green Ranger." There's no part of this where we need to make this a bigger origin than what it was.
Yes.
That sort of reminds me of, did you ever see Spider-Man when they did the origin where suddenly him being bitten by a radioactive spider was no longer an accident? They made it all fate and all this other shit. I think it was Spider-Man The Other Side or the other, whatever the hell it was called. It was shit.
Fair enough. Yes, and I'm sure it just doubled Rita's joy when this guy beat Jason hand-to-hand in a fight, and she realized he beat Jason hand-to-hand in a fight, and he was nothing but green. Perfect.
Yeah, technically drew. As I said, they both kicked their ass equally. Cause didn't the contest end in a draw?
That's right. I think it did. Yeah.
Which, yeah, the secret origin of Tommy.
Ugh.
However, part of me doesn't want that, but yet part of me kind of does. If it goes into his Native American backstory from Zeo, this could actually tie both together and fix a massive fucking gap.
That could be cool.
Why were you never a Native American until you were suddenly the Red Ranger?
Yeah, what was up with that? That was unusual.
I also want to find out where the fuck his parents were.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as a kid, that bothered me. Because when you see like Return of an Old Friend or Return of a Friend when he returns as the Green Ranger, cool, love that. But if that's a risk I'm gonna have to take, love that episode. At the end, he goes to the party for the kids where they have to attend with their parents. We see Jason's parents in red, Kimberly's parents in pink, Trini's parents in yellow, blah blah blah. We never see Tommy's parents. In fact, Kimberly even pulls him over, and the people he was with were not in green and didn't look like parents. Where the fuck were they? Is this secret origin of the Green Ranger going to be him getting himself emancipated, similar to similar to the kid from Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin, or whatever the fuck his name was?
Macaulay Culkin,
Please
that's
tell me that's going to be
possible.
the thing where he divorces his parents. I want to see that. We'll find out next time.
Or they could do the Spider-Man thing of his parents had to leave and him becoming a Power Ranger was always his destiny.
His parent is Zordon.
There you go.
Yes, it's the Batman Beyond epilogue story. They use some fucking I don't know, let's say Dulcia from the Order of the Meladon took Zordon's DNA and changed Tommy's father's DNA to be Zordon's DNA, so that Tommy is Zordon's son because there must always be a Zordon, even though Zordon is apparently fucking immortal.
I'm gonna say Zordon isn't actually an ancient being like he claims to be. He's actually a scientist from our generation, hence why it's all technological, his little command center. However, he accidentally invents time travel, and after his wife is pregnant on the, what do you call it, Native American reservoir camp?
Reservation.
Yeah, reservation, that's the word. He takes off, goes back in time, meets Rita, and sets the whole thing in motion.
There you go.
Any of this, I don't think any of this is going to be covered.
Probably not.
His secret origin is just going to be, hey, you know that Tommy guy you know that did martial arts? Well, it's backstory, he learned martial arts. It's like, well, no shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be something like that. That's how much faith I have in this.
Well, we'll find out.
But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, James Phoenix.
Not a problem. Glad to have given this a read and checked it out, and I'll hopefully be able to join you for the next one.
Yep. And thank you, Marcus Shadow.
You're welcome. Wish I could have been more insightful.
Well, you're welcome to go by the next one to give you more insightful for the next review.
Yeah, like I said, we're used to it by now.
Oh.
I'm kidding. No, you got to respond as someone who hadn't read it to see the artwork up close in case we're reading too much into some of it. But yeah,
Yep.
I was your host, Chris, aka The Mole. See ya.